I stopped a man's suicide, and now I have to choose which family member kills me. The sound of my daughter's voice is what I'm going to miss most. Not her real voice, the one she's using right now. It's quiet and sweet, and it's coming from the other side of the bathroom door, asking me if I need help opening my veins. This started yesterday. I wish I could say it started with something loud, something you couldn't ignore, but it didn't. It started with a hug. I wash windows, not houses. I hang off the side of glass towers that stab holes in the sky. Me and the new kid, Callum, were 70 floors up, strapped into a swaying metal basket, cleaning the grime off a penthouse apartment. Inside, a man was hugging his little girl. She couldn't have been more than 6. He held her tight, a genuine, desperate kind of hug. Then he set her down, held up a hand to stop her from falling, and walked out of her bedroom. Through the next window over, we watched him slide a massive oak bookshelf in front of her door. The girl, clutching a little stuffed octopus, pushed at the door. It thudded against the wood, her small face crumpled in confusion. So did mine. The man didn't even look back. He marched into the middle of his living room and started screaming at an empty corner of the room. I don't mean yelling, I mean screaming. His face was purple, veins popping on his neck, his finger jabbing at nothing. Just air and expensive wallpaper. Callum nudged me. "Boss? You seeing this?" I nodded, my mouth dry. "I've seen some weird shit through these windows. Fights, affairs, people doing lines of coke off glass tables. But this was different. This felt sick." The man stalked into his kitchen, dragged a heavy bar stool out, and positioned it directly under the ceiling fan. Then he went back to the kitchen, pulled a sheet of paper from a drawer, and scribbled something on it. He left it on the counter next to a brand new stuffed octopus, identical to the one his daughter was holding. He kissed its fluffy head before digging back into the drawer. He came out with a rope, thick, braided, a perfect noose already tied at the end. That's when the girl started screaming. A high, terrified sound that cut right through the inch of soundproof glass between us. "Daddy." The sound hit the man like a physical blow. His shoulders slumped. He looked over at the empty corner again, his face a mask of agony, and yelled something that looked like, "I'm sorry." He got on the stool. He worked the rope around the base of the fan, then slipped the noose over his own head. Callum lost his shit. He started banging on the window, rattling the whole basket. Hey, don't you do it, man." Our rig is not small, but it's basically an elevator car hanging by 2 steel cables over an 800-foot drop. His thrashing made us swing like a pendulum. I gripped the railing, my knuckles white. The man's head snapped up. His eyes, wide with shock, found ours. For a second, he just stared. Then he shook his head, a single, sad gesture. He shuffled his feet to the edge of the stool. I had to do something. My squeegee was in my hand. I flipped it around and slammed the metal handle against the glass. A spiderweb crack shot across the pane, loud as a gunshot. It got his attention. I pointed a shaky finger toward his daughter's bedroom. I mouthed the words, slow and clear. "What about her?" He froze. His gaze drifted to her door, his lips pressed into a thin, white line. Tears streamed down his face. He looked back at me, then at the empty corner, and whispered something. My blood turned to ice. He wasn't giving up. Whatever he saw in that corner had him convinced. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and his leg muscles tensed to kick the stool away. But he didn't. He stopped. He opened his eyes, reached up with trembling hands, and pulled the noose from his neck. He stepped down off the stool and collapsed onto it, burying his face in his hands, his whole body shaking with sobs. "Get us up," I told Callum. "Now. I'm calling it in." Callum worked the controls, and as the basket screeched its way back to the roof, I dialed 911. Just as the operator answered, he stopped the lift. We jerked to a halt, slamming against the side of the building, 40 stories from the top. "Callum, what the fuck are you doing? There's a little girl trapped in there." A gust of wind howled past, making the cables groan. He was staring down, over the edge. He looked back at me, a strange, placid little smile on his face. "Sorry, Zev." He started the lift again. Cops were waiting for us on the roof. I told them everything I saw, my hands shaking so bad I could barely light my cigarette. A young officer turned to Callum. "And you witnessed the same thing, sir?" "Mostly," Callum said. His voice was steady. Too steady. The cop clicked his pen. "What did you see differently?" "There was a woman in the room with him," Callum said, not looking at me. "Old, very old. She was standing in the corner he was yelling at. She was smiling the whole time." "What the hell are you talking about?" I snapped. "There was no one else in there. It was him and the kid. That's it." "I'm just telling him what I saw, Zev." The cop's eyes darted between us. His radio crackled to life, a dispatcher's voice demanding a response to a code I didn't recognize. He sighed, pocketed his notepad, and said, "We'll be in touch." He ran for the roof access door, and it slammed shut behind him. We were alone. The wind whipped around us. "Well," Callum said, cheerful, "no point standing around. Ready to finish up?" He gestured to the basket. He was acting like we'd just taken a coffee break. "I think you should go home, Callum." "But we're not done," he said, his brow furrowed in mock confusion. "It's my job. You're not well. Go home. I'll cover for you." "Zev, if I leave early my first week, what's Howard gonna think?" I got in his face then. "I don't give a shit what Howard thinks. I'm not getting back in that basket with you." He just smiled that empty smile again. "We have to finish. It's important." His calmness was more terrifying than any threat. There was no blackmail, no leverage, just this quiet, unnerving insistence. Something in his eyes was hollow. Against every screaming instinct in my body, I found myself nodding. Maybe I just wanted the day to be over. Maybe my own damn pride wouldn't let me admit this kid was freaking me out. "Fine," I spat. "Let's go." He walked over to his backpack, turning his body to hide what he was doing. I crept up behind him, but he spun around before I got close. He was holding a bottle of water, nothing else. He took a long, slow drink, his eyes never leaving mine. "It's a long way down, isn't it, Zev?" he said, his voice barely a whisper over the wind. He walked past me and stepped into the basket. I followed, my stomach a knot of cold dread. We both wore safety harnesses that clipped to a line on the roof. "It's your last chance if the basket fails." I hooked mine in. Callum just stood there, hands in his pockets. "You want me to take us down?" he asked. "Just stay where you are." I powered up the crane, lifted us over the edge, and started the slow descent. 800 feet of nothing opened up beneath us. The setting sun bled orange and purple across the city's glass skin. We didn't speak. The only sounds were the groaning cables and the whistle of the wind. When we got back to the apartment, it was empty. The police were gone, but the stool was still under the fan, and the rope was still hanging from it, swaying gently. I couldn't take it anymore. "Why did you lie to that cop?" Callum turned to me. I didn't lie. He paused, but I did leave something out. He pulled a pair of box cutters from his pocket. The blade snicked out, catching the last of the sunlight. "She's still here, you know. Take it easy, kid." His smile was all wrong, a slash of crooked teeth in the twilight. "You can't see her? She's right there, staring at you from inside the apartment." I risked a glance. Empty. "There's nothing there, Callum." He shook his head, a look of pity on his face. "Incredible. Can't you hear her?" She's whispering. I reached for the controls. "We're going back up." "No, we're not." The blade in his hand was steady. "Listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "We can talk this out." "Okay, Zev, we can talk, but first, unhook your harness." His eyes were flat, dead. Whatever delusion the man in the apartment had, Callum had it now too. I remembered him telling me about his wife, his own little girl. "Callum, think about your family. What happens when you don't come home tonight?" "Probably the same thing that happens to yours," he said, and the blade moved until the cold tip rested just under my jaw. "Last chance, Zev. Are you going to choose?" "Choose." The word echoed what the man had screamed at the corner. My eyes fell. 70 stories. The cars below were tiny, crawling specks of light. "Please," I whispered, "don't." He sighed, a long, weary sound. He pulled the blade away and moved to the side of the basket. He gripped one of the thick hydraulic cables, and he cut it. There was a sharp pop and a spray of oily fluid. The basket slammed downwards on his side, tilting at a 45-degree angle. I slid, crashing into him. We scrambled, clawing for a foothold on the now vertical floor grate. The gate under our feet was all that separated us from the abyss. His eyes found mine in the chaos. Without a word, he reached down and unlatched the gate. It swung open. My safety line caught, jerking me hard. I was dangling, feet kicking in the empty air, gripping the railing with everything I had. Callum, braced against the other side, calmly reached over and snipped my line. My entire weight dropped onto my hands. All 200 pounds of me, hanging by my fingertips. The hydraulic fluid rained down, slicking the metal. My grip was failing. "Just let go, Zev," Callum said, his voice conversational. "It has to be a choice. She doesn't like it when it's not a choice." My mind was a white-hot scream of terror. Then, an idea. A terrible, desperate idea. The fluid. It was flammable. I had a lighter in my pocket. "Help me," I choked out. "I'll do it." But we go together. He stared at me, his head cocked. The blade was gone from his hand. "No tricks, Zev. No tricks. You and me. At the same time." He considered it. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind. Then he nodded. "Okay." He moved to the railing beside me, readying himself to cut his own line. His eyes were locked on me. I held on with my right hand. My left, hidden by my body, fumbled for my pocket. "Wait," he said, his eyes narrowing. "What are you, Snip?" He cut his own line. He was hanging just like me. "This is the last face you're ever going to see," I gasped, my fingers closing around the lighter. "It goes both ways," he said. He started to swing his body toward me. "I'm going to grab onto you, Zev. Then we fall." His eyes flickered down to my hand as I brought it up. I jammed the lighter under his chin and flicked the wheel. His head didn't just catch fire. It exploded. A whoosh of orange flame engulfed him. He screamed, a sound that wasn't human, and his burning hands flailed for me. I kicked out, my boot connecting with his stomach. He folded in on himself and peeled away from the basket, a human torch tumbling into the darkness. I hung there for what felt like an eternity before they cut a hole in the window and pulled me inside. On the drive home, my wife, Ayla, turned to me, her face pale in the streetlights. "Zev," she asked, her voice dreamy, "do you ever just want to let go of the wheel? See where we end up?" Later that night, I woke up. My 6-year-old daughter, Alara, was standing by my bed. She was holding my straight razor, the one I used to shave. She held it out to me. "Daddy," she whispered, and her voice was not her voice. It was melodic, ancient, and cold. "She says you were very brave, but the debt is still owed. Will you help me pay it? So now I'm here, locked in the bathroom. I can hear them both on the other side of the door. Ayla and Alara, they're not pounding or screaming. They're talking to me, gently, lovingly, telling me it's okay, telling me it doesn't have to hurt, that all I have to do is choose." The choice was never for the man in the apartment or for Callum. It was always for me. And they're not going to stop asking until I make it.